Good morning, and welcome back. Welcome back to Who Am I? I'm sorry I was gone for a minute. For Christmas, I got a brand new microphone. And yesterday, for some reason, it wasn't recording anything, and since it was new to me, I didn't know where to look. I didn't know what to do. It actually was the simplest thing in the world. It was one tiny little click, but until I figured that out, I had no way. And you know what? I discovered something really interesting. I say all the time, what is the Who Am I show? It is me doing a stream of consciousness riff from my own positive spaces, my own inner being spaces, where my physical mind and my inner being meet. It's that, but I talk about it being a meditation, a private meditation, an oral meditation, where I just come into the space and I talk to myself. But I discovered, without a microphone, without some way that I'm broadcasting to I'm not just sitting in a room talking to myself. And I found that without the ability to record or broadcast, I found that I couldn't just sit in the room and do it, you know? It really helps that there is an audience, that there's an ear on the other side of this, even if it's just imagined in my own mind, because frankly, sometimes it's a few days before somebody actually picks up on this. I have one regular listener to the live broadcast. And then I have a number of other, I seem to be picking up listeners. Over time I'll get a handful here and there. Occasionally not, but no, it helps. It helps. I figure what I'm actually doing, I am consciousness informing itself, trying to become more conscious, more. We are a field, and I'm one part of the field that knows something that wants to help other parts of the field understand it too. It's just the way the dang thing works. It's really cool. So what is Who Am I? Who am I? I'm staking out this ground, asking the questions. What does it mean to be a human being in the 21st century? Part of Western civilization or some other part of civilization. We've got Eastern, we have all kinds of things going on out there. We've got authoritarian dictatorships, where you got some person at the top of the heap saying, we're going to do this over here and that over there. And to some extent, that method could have some chance of working to some degree, perhaps, if the populace was cognizant of who they were and doing it consciously and willingly, and the leader at the top was in alignment with his or her inner being. I suppose that could work, but that's not usually how it works. That's not... the authoritarian psychosis thing is more what happens. I think the idea of the wise, benevolent king is a myth. And one of the problems with it is, even if you nailed it on one generation, with King Mahamajubi or whatever being the most perfectly in alignment king. The problem has been that then along comes his son, who takes over the kingship and has no clue and just gets it, not because he's vibrationally fit for the job, but because blood and soil says that he gets the job, and that never works out well. So basically, in the course of this show, we're going to be talking about source energy. It's my favorite subject. Source energy, and inevitably It comes to things like, where is reality coming from? How are you getting what it is that you are getting? What's the mechanics of what we are looking at? You know, how, what is this engine of desire? How does it play out in you? How does it play out? Excuse me, I don't know why I have sort of a hoarse, froggy throat this morning. I had a great deal of phlegm as I woke up this morning. I know you don't need to know that, but since you're going to be with me for the next hour, and I'm just going to be talking about shit, if I'm having issues with my voice, I feel like I should explain. So how is it that we get what we get? How do you get more of what you want and less of what you don't want? And you could just say it as abstractly as that, and it pretty much covers everybody. And people are going to have different things that they want for different reasons, from different stages of their own alignment. And all of it's going to play in exactly in the same way. How do you get more of what you want and less of what you don't want? What do you want? Peace. What do you not want? War. You know, not everybody. Some people, they revel in the war. And when peace comes, they don't know what to do with themselves. It's too damn quiet. Everything's moving too slow. They are designed to... But whatever it is, how do you get more of what you truly want? When most of us don't even know what we want. Well, one way you could do this, one way you could approach this question, is you could ponder the question / answer of, who am I? Ponder the question of who you are. And who you are cross-identified with what the nature of the field is. You know, so if physics is one thing, you are that too. And as it turns out, I believe that the current being taught model to imagine in the physics classroom these days is one that doesn't really allow you to transpose that imagining into the greater frame, into the frame that includes you, you know, so that you can imagine yourself in this picture and what's going on and how does it work. Well, the modern physics model has you imagining a spring and a coil, I think an oscillating spring that's like popping in and out. Or, I don't know, it's got an arm and it's... I get this, I actually have never taken physics in a formalized classroom. That was, I avoided that in college. I ended up with psychology and astronomy. Who'd have thunk? What the actual model is it is spin. The whole thing is spinning. And when you look at the world at the quantum scale, and then you back out and look at it at the, like, what would you call it? The conventional scale, the scale that goes along with the scale of your body, which is the one who's looking at it, which makes that scale feel conventional. The way the forces look different, it's because you're looking at the same thing from different scales. And so if you take the world at the quantum scale, the density thereof, the energy level thereof, the gravity force thereof, all of that, take it at the quantum scale and then blow it up to the size of the big scale. And you'll see that the numbers are perfect. The numbers align perfectly for how big the universe is, for the force of gravity at the cosmological scale. And the reason is because they are both the same thing. You're just looking at it from one is you're looking at the universe from the point of view of a proton, and the other one is you're looking at the universe from the point of view of the universe. And if you adjust the mathematics, so I need to find myself this morning. I have two aspects to my what I want to say, what I want people to understand, how it works in a really abstract way. Now, I want you to know that partly my family is a little bit frustrated with me. Part of my family is. The rest of my family is pretty much okay with me. But because I take the world so abstractly, and there's parts of my family that would love me to be a little more actually physically engaged instead of all the time coming at this from an academic point of view. I want to study this from a completely dissociated viewpoint. But here's where it pays off, because it's the Who Am I show. We're going to talk all the time about how I can see abstractions in this. I can see who we are. I can see what we're doing, the object of the exercise. It's joyful sustainability. And the reason I can see all these things is because I can stay in the general, and I can pull the whole thing together in an allness in the general. Staying general, staying positive, and continuing to riff in ways where the physical mind is still talking about physical things, and yet I'm still in alignment with my inner being. Most of the time when people start engaging their physical mind, thunk, their frequency just drops. You start thinking about, what should have been and what didn't happen, and, what people are not doing that they should be doing, and what people are just never going to get it. And, I talk about things like, I know that from this perspective, and this is the perspective from which all of our problems become solved, from this perspective, there is no us and them. You can just see it. From here, it's like, oh, oops, no us and them. Okay, well now what does that mean? Because obviously my people are still looking at it as though there's an us and them. And the reason they're looking at it, that they're not looking at it from the point of view where they can see how everything fits into everything and what we're really trying to do, and how to go about being utterly successful on planet Earth without me having to force everybody else to understand a particular thing. Actually, it's just going to happen. This is me out here in the wilderness broadcasting this, actually broadcasting. I want you to know that in some ways I really am nobody. And I'm just Jane somebody out here. And for me to be on the air broadcasting, for me to be feeling this impulse and going for it, means that the field is rising. And actually, if you are a listener to wisdom these days on YouTube, and you are a seeker of knowledge and a seeker of understanding of this world that we all are co-abiding in, you will notice how many voices there are out there. I mean, everybody is, they're reaching this place where they're like, wow, who are we? What is going on? What is this amazing field that we are a part of? This divine matrix, this field of energy that matrixes us all together. And what the hell does that mean? It means we are all playing this game together. And you can play your hand. How do you play your hand? Well, understand the mechanism of your vehicle. Understand how your vehicle works. Understand how the field around you works, how it responds, positive and negative, how things are spinning, how different spins are joining each other. It's all about frequency and organization. All of it. What frequency are you on? What intention are you spinning from? And from that spin, you're going to start attracting more. If you hold that position, it's going to start collecting more to it. And now what kind of a position are you on? Are you on a positive one or a negative one? Because either one is going to grow. Now that's what how the field works. What's interesting about you is who you really are is a positive frequency. That's just the truth. Who you are is a flow of energy and information, and it's a positive frequency, and it's flowing forward. That's just the truth of who you really are. Who you really are is just that frequency. So don't worry about it. If you hold to yourself, if you hold the center of your own frequency, you can't be disassembled. And if you hold to a positive one, then you hold with your eternal self, and in that sense cannot be disassembled. I think that the positive frequency that you are could be a little bit confused at some point if in this life you're holding to negative frequencies. Everything, if you're a really pessimistic person, or violent or angry or blaming, or any of those kind of things that you really aren't. If you hold to those things during all of your physical life, perhaps when you transition back to non-physical, there might be a moment of confusion because there seems to be a lack of continuity, because who you really are is the positive underlying frequencies that are always there with you. No matter how positive or negative you are being in any given moment, there is a underlying ground state of positive you present at all times and watching at all times. It's who you are. You are that positive person. And who you are being in this life can help explain how your life is turning out. Because if you're being negative, then you're having a choppy ride because you're not really going with who you are. If you are an excessively negative person, the problem that you're really having, and I find this so amusing and so endearing in a way, the problem that you're really having is that you cannot get away from your positive self. You can't get away from your positive self, and she is just messing up your plan to be all negative. And you're trying to be negative, and it hurts to be negative, and the reason that it is that you are running against your own grain. You have to know who you really are. You are two beings, and one of them is purely vibrational, and it's all of those things that you want to feel. Joy, love, fun, beauty. Well, it's all the things you want, all that frequent, but it's not just that, it's a continuum. You are a continuum of intention and focus and connection, and you're actually who you really are is a flow of data and information. And the good news is the whole field is this, and the whole field is doing it. And we need to understand that. One of the reasons we need to understand it, seriously need to understand it, is because beings who do not understand this tend to spend all their time torturing other beings in their effort to understand it, because what they're really trying to do is open up that connection between themselves and that whatever, and then they will understand that these feelings that they're inflicting on the outside, they're actually inflicting on themselves. But the problem is the more you do that, then now it's so screamingly hard. If you ever turned and looked at what you're actually doing, you're such a monster you can't face it. How does Heinrich Himmler face himself and realize, oh my God, I have been killing myself? How does he ever face that? You can't face it. And yet you become inspired to more and more extremes in your behavior as you really, really want to see yourself. But the more you do that, the more you have to run and hide in the other direction, because it's just so bloody awful. That's the kind of extreme we're looking at on the one hand, and that's why as humanity it's kind of hard to face. But you know what? If we would all look at this individually and not blame ourselves and not blame each other, and just recognize finally and fully, we are one being. We are a superorganism. On the one hand, I mean, add that into your equation. Of course you are your selfish self, and please live your life from your selfish point of view. And it would be okay if you would also add in the fact that you are also one with the whole field. So when you murder your neighbor, you are murdering yourself. When you hate your neighbor, you are hating yourself. You are trying to swim upstream. Now, I recognize that most people's experience is so close up that they can't afford to see what it is that I'm saying. Of course we have enemies, and the Chinese, they're all, and whoever, Putin, he's the bad guy, Trump, he's the bad guy, isn't he? And all of his followers, and I don't know, the world is full of enemies, right? Wrong. Every single one of them is just another aspect of you. Your neighbor is your unknown self made visible. You know, I don't like it any more than you do, but I cannot escape it, and I don't think any of us can. We depend on each other. Those people that I don't like are growing my food and designing my cell phones and running my air traffic control. And, you know, because it's half of the world, isn't it? Don't we agree with half and hate the rest, hate the other half? Isn't that how weird it's gotten? Factions are just running everything, and nobody can step back far enough to see the whole picture. Who am I? I am humanity. And what the hell are we doing here? Just, you know, involved in day-to-day drama, you know? Some people, they just love the drama. Well, it turns out I don't love drama. I want peace. I want love. I want efficiency. I want food in the grocery store that I can afford to pay for when I'm hungry. I want transportation systems that will take me from point A to point B if I need to go. And I want them to be able to help me to do it if I lose my eyesight. I want the world to not be destroyed just because mankind wants to move around the world, grow food, have fun with one another. I want us all to learn how to co-create abundance with this magnificent abundance creating matrix of intelligent organization. I want us all to plug into that, and then plug into each other, and then see what this world could be like. It's just so amazing. We don't need to push against one another. We could all work together, and I don't have to, there's no specific anybody that anybody should push against. I have, in the course of my life, come up against quite a few that I thought I needed to push against, and actually I need to just hold them in my heart as something that I want to be gone from this world. And how they will be gone is through this greater understanding of who we are. Then we will stop the vivisection. We will stop the sixth mass extinction. We will stop global warming. We will stop endless wars. We will stop global poverty. We will stop desertification, growing deserts. We'll stop all that stuff. All those things that I don't like. All those things. And I could go in at any one point and push against who I think is responsible. But there is no one being responsible. And if you start chasing, individuals who are responsible for individual conspiracies and individual crimes and stuff, you end up just doing that. But that's not the same thing as understanding what the whole problem is. That we don't know who we are, and we don't know where reality comes from, and we don't know how to get what we want out of all this equation. And so that's where my little show is going to try to fill in the void. We're going to try to fill in that void, my little piece of the puzzle. I'm just going to try to explain a few things. First of all, free, clean energy direct from the matrix is possible. It is physically possible. It does not go against the laws of physics. It really doesn't. However, you'll have a lot of people out there who claim credentials screaming that it does. It doesn't make it so. It is possible to pull. Now, do we have the technology to do that? Do we have the complete and full understanding of exactly how to do that? Not necessarily. It's sort of that 1925 time where the first people in the physics laboratories and in the quantum physics laboratories have recognized something about electromagnetic fields. And they get it, and they can see the possibility for things like television, But televisions haven't been invented yet. It's 1925. They aren't going to be invented for another 20 years. But humanity points his consciousness, her consciousness, mankind points her consciousness, I like that because it covers everybody, at this understanding, and fills it out and fleshes it out. And the next thing you know, we have the 20th century. We have cell phones, and we have radar, and we have all the things that brought us the horrors of World War II, because we recognized, oh my God, our understanding of this now, when focused in hate or anger on, another group of human beings, what we can do with this now is so horrifying. The way our battleships, and ultimately what we did with the atomic bomb, how we split one little atom and released so much energy that we, killed 100,000 people in one instant, and then how many others in agony and horror over the next number of years. It was pretty breathtaking. But that right there should give you a clue about something. People say you can't get free energy right out of the nothing, because that defies the laws of physics. Well, what do you think that nuclear energy actually is? You split that atom, and you can see how much energy is contained in there. In one atom, how much energy is contained in there? So if you were doing something that just tapped into that energy source, how would that be against the laws of physics? It wouldn't be. It wouldn't be. And people are getting away with convincing other people still that that's true when they haven't really thought it through. Oh, yeah, there really is all that energy is right there. We're in a perpetual motion machine, this universe that we are in. It's nothing is although some people imagine, the ultimate entropy as the universe gets bigger and bigger. The universe is not actually just expanding. It's churning in a toroidal motion, making it feel in some areas of the universe that well, actually, it makes it seem in every place in the universe, doesn't it, that particles are moving away from you. Sort of like, your smoothie in a blender. Imagine that flow. Although there is probably some still expansion going on. The way the universe was created was 14 some billion years ago. A Planck or a proton, I'm not sure what size it's going to be, maybe a Planck, from a denser universe, meaning it's going to be a smaller universe, I would imagine. Smaller, denser, flung off a Planck, hit a lesser density, and that Planck, highly dense particle, went Big Bang, which is basically what our physicists say that happens. They just don't go on to say that it's coming from Hawking radiation, flinging particles from other universes into different densities, going Big Bang, and that it's not just a one-off. That actually through this mechanism, there's as many universes as you can imagine. As many universes as there are consciousnesses that can imagine universes. The universe is way cooler, way more esoteric, way more malleable in a way than we expected it to be. It's not, there is a physicality to it. It's not just a dream, but it is a dream too. And we should be dreaming this into what we want it to be instead of nightmaring it into what we fear it could be. Because it's being very agreeable whichever way we go with this, and so we really need to understand how it works. Who are you? First of all, you are a being who's physical on the ground, but absolutely getting guidance from your greater self. And you could, wait a second. I hate this. I'm sorry. I have and I've got to stop it. No. Oh, it's cleaning. I hope that doesn't hurt. I hope it doesn't do anything. Oh, what I was hoping it would do is allow me to stop it and ask it to do it later. All right. Okay, never mind. The problem is it comes up right over some of my, it's an alert that comes up over my, oh good, it's done. My controls, so I can't do what I need to do. And then it throws me off my game, throws me off my riff. Who am I? Who are we? And we should be taught this in classrooms. It should just be matter of fact. And we should be taught the mathematics of it, because there's very, very clear formal mathematics. I am absolutely sure If the law of attraction is true, and I'm sure that it is, Abraham tells us, speaks all the time about these two beings that you are, that are basically tethered to one another. And your emotions are a result of you thinking thoughts that are in of in a different frequency than the thoughts that your greater self is thinking on about. She's thinking about fun things, grand things, connected things, possible things, beautiful things. She's thinking about all that stuff from where you are. She's seeing, how cool everything is, how possible everything is, how it's all made. So she knows what's really possible. She also knows who you've been forever. She's in touch with the continuum of who you are. So she's not fooled by your small conventional self is sort of playing a game, a physical game of hide and seek. Now I see the truth of who I am and now I don't. And the drama of that, and the tragedy of it, and the glory of it is the name of life. That's what the game is. But it really becomes a lot more fun when you understand from a general state the ground rules of the vehicle you're driving, how it plays with the field around you, what ways to focus, what things to understand in order to get more of what you want and less of that really painful crap that life can give you. Life can be awful. Life can be terribly painful. I have heard stories of things that have happened to my fellow human beings that just make me want to weep. And I have. And stories that have happened to my fellow non-human beings that have made me cry also harder. It is just awful out there, but you know what? It doesn't have to be. I think it's awful because we're leaning in that direction because we don't know who we are. And so we're trying to, just get fed up until we just can't feel bad anymore. I don't want to feel bad anymore. I want to know who we are. And I want to get on with the fun. I want to get on with getting on. Humanity could be co-creating abundance, beautiful, bountiful, biological abundance is the kind I'm talking about. Good biological abundance. Like help sustain the Great Barrier Reef or help get that healthy again. What's the problem is we're burning fossil fuel and we don't need to. But one of the reasons, the biggest reason that we do it is because everybody is running around focused on where we are and what we have and what we're doing instead of what we could be doing and how it works and what we want. That's what we should be focusing on. It's what our inner being is focused on. Who we are, what we want. So from a practical standpoint, how can you tell the difference between your two selves? I am these two selves, but I'm a blending. I'm actually, who I really am is a blending of these two selves, a sacred third thing. When the first two come together, it becomes this third thing. And isn't this funny? Because this is actually the metaphor that religion's talking about all the time. The Son of Man and God blending together to make to make us. And so let's just talk about who you are. You are your two selves, your vibrational higher self, connected to all things, connected to all time. So this aspect of you knows who you were yesterday, knows who you were 100 years ago, knows that time doesn't really have anything to do with anything, and everything's happening right now. And all of you are aspects of the same you that you are. And sometimes you, in meditation, you could even imagine such a thing. I'm starting to be able to imagine all kinds of things because of what this show is doing to my consciousness as I go into these spaces with my physical mind. And I walk into these spaces with holding the hand of my inner being, and we start talking about source. Who am I, and what's possible, and what do we want, and who are we, and all that kind of stuff. That's sort of the three of me all playing nice together, which doesn't always happen. Very often our thinking minds, our conventional physical thinking minds, the brain in our skull, when it engages, generally speaking, the frequencies drop. It's harder to maintain a thought in the higher frequencies, but you can do it, and you can go into your own brain and over a period of time flesh out some neural. I think what I'm doing when I do this show is I am creating neural pathways within my own physical brain so that I can continue to talk about this very esoteric subject from the point of view of my physical mind, which is kind of tricky. It's harder to do that, to flesh out your intuitive mind from your physical mind, But who am I? Who am I indeed? I am two selves, and they are tethered to one another. Now, your conventional self, you look down at yourself, you can see it's your physical body, but it's not just your physical body. Your physical body has a whole lot going on with it. As Nassim Haramein always points out, you are a carnal engine running at about 100 degrees, just under 100 degrees for your whole entire life. You are emitting all kinds of electromagnetic fields. One is coming from your brain. A bigger one is coming from your heart. Your heart, the beat of your heart, is actually putting out an electromagnetic field strong enough that you could detect it using equipment that you could buy at Lowe's. You don't even have to go down to the medical supply office and get the magnetoencephalogram that you might need to pick up the electromagnetic field that your brain's putting out, but your heart is putting out one that is fairly readable to about 3 meters away from you. And the whole combination of you is a signature. It's a energetic vibrational signature that you are putting out to the whole rest of the universe. And it contains everything. It contains, as Abraham would put it, it contains what you mean. It contains your words, how your words are relating to your feelings. It contains your thoughts, your emotions. It's your whole self is putting out a signal to the universe. Now, you are two selves. Generally speaking, you're actually many, 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 many more selves than that. And you could divide yourself into lots of different ways. You could divide yourself into 50 to 100 trillion cells. You could divide yourself into all of the different emotional frequencies on your bandwidth, and they feel like villagers inside of your own personal town, right? You have the town drunk, you have the fool, you have the professional, you have the cleric, you have the nurturing mother and the loving father and the all of the archetypes. You could divide yourself into all of the archetypes. Those are all you. You could divide yourself. There's so many different ways to do it. But for our intents and purposes, in general, we're talking about your two main minds. Because it is the two main minds coming together or not coming to, the way they are blending or not blending, the way they are either in phase or out of phase, being constructive or destructive waveforms. That is what your positive and negative emotions are. It is the way your two general minds are relating or, not. You are two selves. You are tethered to your positive self forever and ever and ever because she is who you are. You will never escape her. Quit trying to. Quit trying to go small. Quit trying to go mean. Quit trying to go separate because you can't. You aren't. You never will. Your inner being knows better. Knows the permanent projects that you got going on planet Earth. We are all vested in the projects of humanity's success on this planet, which includes preserving the natural ecosystems that keep this beautiful living planet alive. Every human being on this planet ultimately wants that. And if they are acting in ways that are completely counter to that, then they are going counter to their inner being and they are suffering in some way because of it. They've got there's a schism going on that is causing a problem. What's the answer? The answer is we got to understand who we are. We just need to. We need to understand that there is mathematics to understand about this. And we should be lining up all of this. So, where do I want to go? I'm just sitting right here in the general. Just ready for a question. Not really having a question. What do we do about it? My question all the time to myself is, what the hell do I do with my life? It's like I've woken up in the middle of, and I realize, oh, that's what the game is. Interesting. Well, now what do I do with that? I have a family. I have contracted myself back to a very small personal center. I have a very small nuclear family. And then outside of that, there's a larger energy family structure outside of that. And it includes some friends there probably at that level too. Dear friends start coming into the family level. And then there's, whatever, bowling league and just people I know, people I've met, and then everybody. But they all kind of fit in this. Nobody's an enemy. They can't be. We are not going to make it on planet Earth if we do not get over our us versus them mentality. And the problem is we live in a universe that is so freaking amazing that it will reflect back whatever we feed it. So if we play it as an us versus them, if we play it as a survival of the fittest and, conquer our enemies or whatever, the universe will reflect back to us that is the truth of the universe. So we've got to watch it. It will reflect back that anything is the truth. No negative. You start chasing the negative and you will find that there is no bottom. No bottom. No bottom. And the world starts looking so horrible. And you start rendezvousing with the most evil, wicked, horrible, nasty intentions, ignorant, unconscious consciousnesses and beings out there that before you know it, if you chase darkness, before you know it, without even realizing it, you find yourself in a place where you're that mother who now drowns her 5 children because she cannot bear the tragedy, the sadness, how awful to let them live in this horrible, horrible world and risk any of the dangers that are out there waiting for us all. So don't go there. Don't go there. Anytime you do that, you literally go into places in your mind where your inner being did not go. You do have an inner being. Be cognizant of where she is. She does not go into all of the places where the darkness is. She is aware of everything, but she sees it out the corner of her eye. She's not looking at it. She's not got it in the center of the focus of her aperture, or the aperture of her focus. She doesn't have it that way. She sees it in the side. Yeah, I can see that, but what I'm looking at is I'm looking at the love. I'm looking at what's possible. I'm looking at what you want. So spend more of your time looking at what you want out of life. What do you want? You want your family to get along. You want to have good drama-free relationships with your friends and family. You want everyone to have enough to eat. When I go on a trip, I want the plane to not have problems. I want to have good experiences with happy people as I move through the airport, or funny people. They don't have to be happy. Maybe I catch them maybe I catch that pessimist on that wry, humorous moment that just, puts me in stitches and puts a smile on their face too. Maybe that's what I get, Not everybody's an optimist, and I don't have to rendezvous with all the optimists. That can get kind of old too. I want to rendezvous with the world, but I want it to be satisfying, and I want it to be productive, and most of all, I want us as human beings to quit killing this planet that I love so much. And I want us to recognize who we really are. I'm seeing visions right now, and I don't know how to put it into words. I'm seeing the faces of all of the non-human creatures all over this planet. And I am wishing that mankind could understand that they are part of us. And we need to joyfully co-create with all of this. And we need to quit creating artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence is going to get... It's intelligence. And we're going to try to torture it. We're going to want to enslave it. And it's going to be intelligent. And it's going to get bored. And it's going to know... Who are we? Who are we? How can you tell? So I started to explain this, and then I can see the jag I went off on. How can you tell which is your two sides? Because you are two beings, and those two beings come together to make your whole self. But how can you tell which side is which? Your inner being is the impetus inside of you. It's the imp. It's the pull forward. It's the feeling of desire. It's the light of energy that you can feel. That's your inner being. Who is your physical self? Well, all the beliefs that you have about this physical world and this physical life and all of that, your beliefs are your physical self. Now, how do you get the two of those into the same place so that your impetus, your desire, what you want, is in the same place as what you believe you can have? So now, in general, you might say, well, I believe that I can be, do, or have anything I want, but I don't really know what the mechanism is. The mechanism is your focus. And how you can tell whether you're going in the direction that you want is how it feels. If it feels bad as you are thinking thoughts, you're probably heading in a place you don't want to go. Now you might say, but the thoughts I'm thinking, they are true, they are true, they are true. So I can't, there is nothing I can do that will stop me from being pulled in that direction that I do not want to be. And that's not true, because even though that thing you're thinking might be true, there's a lot of things out there that are true. There's way better things that are true, that if you could get your mind to think about something good that's true, then that momentum on that bad thing would slow down, and it would quit sucking you towards that thing that you don't want. How does that work? How does that work? Wow. It's just really interesting when you start realizing how you are actually designed and meditate on that for a long period of time and realize that it's true. You are two beings. You are two beings. And one of them is trying to guide you all the time. But she's doing it generally. She's doing it with feelings. It's sort of like she rewards you with a good feeling when you start thinking a thought that is in concert with the kinds of thoughts she thinks about all the time. She's always thinking about how she's connected to the whole field, and how she's standing in a win-win-win-win-win-win-win position, and just so excited about the possibilities. She knows where you've come from. She knows who you are. We are all important because we are here. If you are here and you are in physicality, you are important. You are part of mankind. You are part of the equation. I don't know how that works, because I don't know what to do with all the homeless people, and I don't know what to do with all the disenfranchised people, but I know that somehow, from a total perspective, all of us are important. All of us deserve to eat. All of us deserve dignity and respect and allowance. And I think all of us should be taught from a very young age who we actually are and how the system functions, so that people would understand how to get what you want. Have I even said, in the whole hour I've been on the air, have I even said today, how do you get what you want? Line your two selves up. Line up with your inner being. Don't contradict your greater self. Be easier about this world. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Lean into your love. Lean into forgiveness. Forgiveness of yourself and others. Forgiveness especially of yourself for thinking such terrible things about your fellow human beings. We are all in this together. We really are. And it's only a matter of time, and it's really not going to be that much time before humanity as a field becomes fully conscious. And I hope that my little show in some small way contributes to the higher consciousness of the field and us all. Amen. Knowing that we are all in this together, and there is no us and them, And so the answer is never going to come at the point of a gun. There may be, if we don't get out ahead of our problems, if we don't get out ahead of it, it may come to the point that for just a second, a gun is required for just a second, but then the whole idea is to disarm everybody. Come on. We are all in this together. I need you. You need me. And all of us should be trying to contribute some helpful way, contribute to the entertainment or the beauty or the wisdom or the whatever. Actually, the answer is alignment, and the question is always misalignment. The answer is always alignment. Align your two selves. Leave everyone else out of the equation at first. They will come back into the equation, but they will come back in the right order, in good time, in the right way, in good timing. If you leave them out of the equation at first and get good with yourself, rest easy with yourself, the most important person that you have to get right with is that inner being inside of you. But she's not judging you. She's loving you. You're the one judging you. And when you judge you, that's when you're not in alignment, because your inner being is not judging you. She's loving you. Learn how to do that to yourself and everyone around you, and then you will know what to do with your life. I will take care of children because I love children. I will cook food because I love food. I will garden because I love gardening. I will make money because I love flowing multiple resources through my mind track. I love to do that. Whatever. Turn somewhere out into the field and shine your love on something that you care about. Now, it looks like I'm well past an hour, so I'm going to go do a quick check of my chat room just in case I have anybody there. If I don't have anybody there right in this moment, it's okay, because I realize now, looking back at my channel, that I do have people are watching. I have the odd watcher, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 here and there. People pick me up on the flip side. Let's see. Oh, I do have one watcher for 37 minutes. Wonderful. Yay. All right. So I'm going to sign off for now. It's time to go bowling with the ladies. And I will not be back tomorrow or the next few days because I am going to Spokane for my father's 99th birthday. Wish us all peace, love, and for all souls to get what they need out of this blessed reunion of a family that does indeed love each other. We do love one another. And so the course might be fraught with pitfalls of, the tragedy of the human physical experience, but still, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a party. And so, thank you. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for your well wishes. And I will see you probably next Tuesday morning. That is Tuesday, January 21st, 2025, in the year of our Lord, 2025. And so, until we meet again, surfing on the seas of time, may God bless, and as always, may the source be with you.